Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fourth session of the year of the Spotfire Quarterly Connect Plus Community Series. My name is Chris Stump, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager for Spotfire and Signals Research Suite at Revity Signals, and I will be your moderator for this session. We have a fantastic webinar for you today, but before I introduce Nicholas Ambertson and Michael O'Connell from Spotfire, I want to share what you're going to learn today. So you're going to learn about Spotfire 14. So there's a little bit of really cool features and capabilities in the new Spotfire 14 that you're going to learn about. You're also going to learn about what's going on at Spotfire, and you're going to learn about what's next with Spotfire. And I just want to take a moment also to remind you that in addition to Spotfire, with all the advanced analytics and capabilities of Spotfire by itself, we leverage Spotfire within Signals Research Suite, Signals Vitro Vivo, Signals Inventa, Lead Discovery Premium, and Signals Clinical. And I want to introduce you to today's speakers. So we are very fortunate to have two powerhouse speakers from Spotfire, so Nicholas Ambertson and Michael O'Connell. And as you may know, Spotfire is a strategic partner of Revity Signals and the maker of Spotfire. Nicholas is is Director of Product Management at Spotfire, and Michael is Chief Analytics Officer at Spotfire. We're very happy to have both of them back with us again at the Spotfire Quarterly Connect. And before turning the session over to Nicholas and Michael, I have one quick reminder before we start. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be shared with all attendees in the next couple of days. So without further ado, I turn the floor over to you, Nicholas.
Thank you so much, Chris. My name is Nicholas Ambertson, and as Chris said, I'm Director of Product Management for Spotfire. So I'm going to take you through what's new and what's next in Spotfire, and then my colleague Michael O'Connell will come on and he will speak about new frontiers in AI and ML and in visual analytics as well. But let's get started here. So we'll start with what's new in Spotfire 14.0 LTS, long-term support. So this is our most recent release that was released in about a month ago or something like that. And the first thing I wanted to say about this is that Spotfire 14 is a long-term support release, meaning that most large enterprises will upgrade to this version of Spotfire. We make long-term support releases roughly once per year, and each long-term support release is typically supported for 2 years. We'll see a few highlights in the next slides related to what's new in Spotfire 14. But since the last long-term support release, which was Spotfire 12, we had added about 80 new features that you see here. I don't have time to speak about all these today, so I have made a selection in the next few slides. But before we look into the new features, I like to tell you what we hear from users about what makes Spotfire different. So Spotfire is used by scientists, engineers, and other people that need to analyze data to make the best business decisions. What we hear is that they really like the Spotfire user experience, so that visualization, data preparation, and data science in one single experience. That means that Spotfire allows them to dig deeper into the data. You can always go to the next level of analysis while staying inside Spotfire. So it's one environment for all your analytics. And if we dig a bit deeper into what users say and categorize this in 4 different areas, then what we hear is that people like that Spotfire was built for data discovery. Spotfire combines data visualization and data manipulation in one immersive user experience. So that is unique and really hard to do. So most BI and analytics software separates data preparation from data visualization. This means that Spotfire is very well suited to self-service data discovery because it enables users to answer their own questions, even if it means manipulating the data. So that encourages further exploration and leads to new insights faster. People also like that it's fast with large data and also with fewer clicks to accomplish the same things. Secondly, Spotfire combines visual analytics with powerful but easy to use statistical calculations and machine learning capabilities that one would typically only find in complex statistical and data science focused software packages. We continue making Spotfire more powerful, but not more complex. Thirdly, Spotfire lets you combine data at rest with data in motion. And that is not always required, but when it is, Spotfire is ready. And the fourth and very important point is that Spotfire has a very extensive API and can be tailored to specific use cases and specific industries. Customers appreciate that Spotfire can be extended and adapted to suit the needs of these specific industries and use cases, that one can automate complex analytical tasks and create a guided user experience for the end user. So that's why customers tell us that there is almost nothing that can't be done with Spotfire. It's immersive, smart, real-time, and versatile. Okay, so if we now look into a few of the new features that we introduced in Spotfire 14, one nice improvement in Spotfire 14 is that users can now export their table visualizations to Microsoft Excel with preserved layout, styling, coloring, and formatting. So this goes for tables, for cross tables, for summary tables, and graphical tables. You just simply right-click in the table and you export it to Excel. So this means that it's easier to share the results of your analysis with people in the organization that do not use Spotfire. The KPI chart has also been enhanced in Spotfire. So this is a visualization that we originally developed with mobile use cases in mind, where it's very well suited, but it also has grown popular in dashboards and applications used on regular computers. So a short summary of how the KPI chart works. So it lets the user define one or more KPIs that each are shown as one or more tiles, as you see in the screenshots here. Those are the colored rectangles. One KPI tile can show information using two numeric values, one trend line and the color of the tile, and finally also through the order of the tile in the visualization. One can also define actions that are triggered when the user clicks on a KPI tile. So these actions can, for example, navigate to a different page, run a script or a data function, and it's often used to implement drill down and similar capabilities. So the new things in Spotfire 14 is that you can now have much more control over the visual layout and formatting of the KPI tiles. You can change the font size of the KPIs and make KPIs that are really, really large so they can be viewed from a distance. But you can also create very many small KPIs to see lots of data at one time. Altogether, this makes it easier and broadens the use cases of the KPI chart. So you can, for instance, use it at a big screen in a hallway or in the canteen or somewhere to show company KPIs. Or you can have it in a regular dashboard with lots of small KPIs shown in the screen when you're sitting close to the actual screen. And the third and last thing I wanted to dig deeper into in Spotfire 14 is library favorites, making it easier to find the most important and most used library items that you have. The library favorites feature is available both in the web client and the install client, and both within the analytics experience and from the web library browser. So favorites are personal and they make it easy to find your most used assets in the library. So you can mark any type of item as a favorite, an analysis, a data connection, a data function, etc. You just click the little star icon besides the library asset to make it a favorite or to remove it from your favorites. Okay, so that's the very short version of what's new in Spotfire 14. But then let's move into the statement of direction to speak about the future direction of Spotfire. And obviously, this is confidential and it's forward looking, so therefore I have to show you this disclaimer. So the Spotfire direction is divided into 4 different areas, and I'll cover each of these with a slide in the next few minutes here. So on self-service visual analytics, which obviously is a core part of our direction going forward, this is for business users, for analysts, for scientists, for engineers that are working together in a team or by themselves. We are creating a new and modern visual analytics user experience and making it all available in the web client. So self-service visual analytics, that of course requires easy data access to all kinds of data, and cloud data access is especially a top priority for Spotfire. With this new user experience, we'll make it easier for new users to get started with Spotfire, to learn Spotfire, and for more experienced users, we are also making it easier and faster to do what you want, to help you find insights in your data, and not the least, it will add new visualization options. Together with the new user experience, we are adding more visual capabilities to our native visualization, such as improvements to scales, labels, interactivity, and just look and feel of the visualizations. So on the left part of the slide here, you see a context-sensitive visualization panel. It's obviously, this is a sketch from our UX design team. That is a visualization panel that makes it easier to add additional visualization options, and it's context sensitive so that when you select the visualization in the visualization canvas, then the properties panel changes to reflect the settings of that visualization. It means that you can also configure several visualizations at one time if you want to do common settings for them. So that's one example of a great improvement in the workflow for experienced users. As I said, this new user experience will not require an installation. It's all going to be available in the web client as well to make it easier to deploy and lower the cost deployed to a large number of users in a large organization. But then we don't really want to stop at traditional self-service visual analytics, but build on Spotfire's strengths in data science and taking these to the next level by providing the best integrated data science and visual analytics solution on the market. So this is to serve the needs of engineers and analysts and scientists who need to use statistics, machine learning, AI in order to classify or forecast or find anomalies in the data in an easy way. So we already started because we had our data science team making a library of data functions available on the exchange. We have given these data functions a more visible place in the user interface and making it easier to work with existing data functions. We think we can make it a lot easier to build flows consisting of data preparation, statistics, and machine learning, and so on, by adding a data flow perspective for authoring data pipelines. So those of you that use Spotfire probably know the data canvas, where you have this box and arrow style of UI in order to see how a single data table is actually being built up, what it's joined with, what the transformations are, and so on. The idea here is to expand on this concept and make it possible to see the flow between tables as well, so that you can get a whole view of the data flow in the analysis. Note that this data flow is also part of the same analytic model as the visualization perspective. So if you do a change to the data from the visualizations, it's all integrated and you can see the same change from the data flow perspective and the other way around. We also plan to help developers of data science being more productive when working in Spotfire by making it easier to develop R and Python-based data functions in a full integrated development environment that also provides debugging capabilities. When it comes to analytic applications, so for the developers of analytic applications and the information consumers that use those applications, we will provide the easiest way to build powerful and user-friendly analytic applications at a fraction of the cost of custom development, and more powerful yet easier to use than traditional BI and analytic tools. So the idea here is to enable industry and process-specific analytic tools that can be built on top of Spotfire. For example, such that you could create a reusable guided workflow for specific use cases like analyzing wafer defects in semiconductor manufacturing or identifying root causes for problems in a manufacturing process of any kind. We also want our customers to be able to act on insights directly from the visualizations. So as you may know, in Spotfire 12, we made the first move in this space by enabling users to trigger actions in more than 200 different business systems directly from the visualizations in Spotfire. So this is something that we will build on, for example, with reusable scripts and UI components based on the mods framework. And we think this is going to be an important part in many use cases in the future. There is also a more general element to this, which is related to look and feel and the UI options that are available to developers. We'll make it easier to build good-looking applications that work better on on screens on different size and use the available screen space more efficiently. And finally, about governance and manageability. You know, Spotfire is used by many really large enterprises, and at these large enterprises, the size of the deployment and the big number of users is, of course, a significant challenge in itself for the administrators, at least. Especially when you add self-service and you have thousands of users that are creating their own content or copying each other's content, and so on, then it's hard to know which are the most important aspects on the Spotfire library. So the idea here is that administrators and the Center of Excellence team will be able to promote content more easily to the end users so that they know what's available. And also the idea is that the Center of Excellence team will be able to see more easily what are the most important content, what are the analyses that are used the most, which are the most used data sources and so on, in order to make better decisions on where to put their focus. And before I end the statement of direction part here, I just wanted to make sure that you're all aware about the Spotfire ID portal. The Spotfire ID portal is now located at ids.spotfire.com. And that allows you to share your ideas about how Spotfire can be improved directly with the Spotfire product management team. And you can also vote on ideas submitted by other users. When you vote on an ID or if you create an ID, you also will be signed up to get a notification when the status changes. So we do take the input from the ID portal very seriously. We have so far implemented 7 out of the 10 highest voted IDs. And we have plans for more, as you can actually see in the ID portal. So here you can actually also already see what we are planning to implement, because you can sort the ID listing on its status. So there's a little button in the ID portal here where you can select which status to view. So that essentially means that this is a convenient way for you to keep up to track with what we are planning to do in the future. And if you look at the ID portal, you probably will find that there is a significant number of IDs that are in the future consideration status. And that is, of course, because the product is popular, the number of IDs is growing fast, and then we can implement all the IDs. But that is why it's so important that you vote for IDs that you prioritize, that are important to you. This makes sure that the most liked IDs, the most voted IDs, they rise to the top in the ID portal and become more visible for us. In the product management team, we review IDs and manage the status. We try to merge IDs that are similar and so on, and we update the status when we plan to implement an ID when it's implemented. We always discuss top voted IDs in product planning meetings, and we work very hard to find ways to address them, even if it sometimes takes time. If you identify IDs that we have not merged, that you think we should merge or so on, you can also just write a comment on the ID portal, and we will see that and be able to respond. One important part as well here is that apart from the number of votes that an ID has, we also consider the number of unique companies that voted. So that's why you should not use your private email like Gmail or Hotmail or something like that. It's much better that you use your company email when you vote or create an ID. So that's it on the Spotfire statement of direction, and I do see that my colleague Michael O'Connell has joined us. So Michael, if you unmute, are you ready to take over the presentation at this point?
I am, Nicholas. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you very well.
Okay, so very good. I'm just sharing my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, perfect. Well, great. Thanks, Nicholas. That was terrific. Update on Spotfire, and I'm going to take some of those items that Nicholas spoke about and show you how we implement those through our field tech organization, which includes our data science teams and architects and all of our folks who work hands-on data with customers and with our product. So just to level set, we've been busy creating essentially a new business unit, a new company for Spotfire. As you know, we have been part of TIBCO for some years, but we've recently spun out of that, and that whole section of visual analytics, data science, and streaming is now inside of the Spotfire business unit inside of Cloud Software Group. So that previous relationship we had with Spotfire being inside of TIBCO is now been liberated, and we've got our own investment. We've got our own standalone business unit inside of this bigger company. So we're excited about that, and I'm going to just quickly show you how that's playing out. So we've been at this just for halfway through this year. We started that. We now have a new website, spotfire.com. And you can see all of the things that Nicholas was just talking about, why Spotfire solutions that we have, demonstrations. We just finished our annual analytics forum. The analytics forum, I'm sure some of you folks have come along to this in the past. It was a 3-day event, lots of terrific content. The life science sessions that we had, well, firstly, Moderna uses us for the development of their vaccines for COVID. And there was a presentation around that from folks at Moderna. There was a session around agricultural applications from folks in Europe. And then we had a terrific session on the use of AI techniques for healthcare applications from Dr. Niam from the National University System in Singapore. These sessions were available in this interface for some months after the conference. I think that a couple of months. The conference was a couple of months ago, and we're surfacing those now through YouTube and through our Spotfire website. Just to briefly mention the session that Dr. Niam gave. As you know, in the healthcare industry, there's lots of textual data. Medical notes, patient notes. And Dr. Niam and team have been creating large language models for analyzing those notes and pushing out what they call AI-generated nudges to help patients self-manage or to help case managers work with them to manage their situation both in and outside of the hospital. quite exciting work going on. I put the YouTube link here. I'll make these slides available to this and the other sessions from our analytics forum. So as a good intro to what's going on right now is in new frontiers in AI, ML, and visual analytics, and what we're doing in Spotfire. You know, what Dr. Niam was doing is part of a, as you guys understand, I'm sure, a massive trend in generative AI, large language models, co-pilots, all of that. Top right-hand corner there, the data science bucket that we play in, along with analytics and visual analytics on the left. This is a lot of activity. Now, Dr. Niam is actually using this Llama 2 model for some of his work. We've been digging into a number of these sorts of large language models as a way of having a conversation with Spotfire. We've been building out a co-pilot, and just by chance, we happened to release that today on our community site. It's an open source co-pilot. I'll go through here in a moment. But this whole top row here of visual data science is what Spotfire has been doing for years, ever since we rode that human genome wave when the human genome was sequenced and people were doing lots of microarray experiments and high throughput screening, and our whole start we got in the pharmaceutical R&D area was based on visual data science. We've been at this for years, and it's been quite a journey to see the whole world transform and come towards us over that time. So in terms of trends in that area, you know, really the generative AI led by ChatGPT is on fire. There's co-pilots pretty much everywhere. You know, image coding, video, voice, lots of investment going in. This big shakeup that happened recently with OpenAI now has more than $80 billion valuation for a company of a few hundred people. Pretty amazing. Right there in downtown San Francisco. NVIDIA with a $1 trillion market cap. So really a lot of industry action here. On the research side, the whole idea of you know, reinforcement learning with human feedback has been validated through these generative pre-trained models. And the open source movement is coming along. I saw a big consortium announced yesterday led by IBM. And we are seeing some of those open source models. For example, Llama 2, which was open sourced by Meta and used in Dr. Niam's presentation I just referred to. It's a smaller model, less parameters, but better data set, longer context for training, and gives, you know, particularly good results in certain situations. And you know, we and Dr. Niam have tried out a bunch of these sort of models. One interesting thing is we're running out of human-generated data. So the entire internet is in these models, but now we're looking into corporate videos and synthetic data, and that's part of what we're doing with the Spotfire Copilot. In your world, there's really interesting things going on with molecular biology and drug discovery. These diffusion models I've been reading about. I haven't, you know, looked at these myself individually, but if you start off with a certain set of candidates that you know is therapeutically effective, and you go from left to right here and introduce noise until you can't recognize that structure anymore, and then you from that noise, go and train models back to come back with another set of candidate structures that you can then explore in the lab. This whole area of diffusion model and large language models front-ending that is a big trend in your space. I'd love to learn more about that. If there's folks in this audience who are doing any of that, I'd love to chat about it. But one big general area of interest is this multimodality. So when you start off with a textual conversation with a large language model and bring back a visual, that's what we're doing with the Spotfire Copilot. So I'm excited to mention today that we have just released the Spotfire Copilot on our community. You can download the components. It's basically designed to help you perform various tasks in Spotfire using the Spotfire documentation. So you can have a conversation and get suggestions on how to do various things in Spotfire. You can help understand structuring the data through the interface. It'll create a visualization that is recommended from the data structure. It can explain a visualization. In fact, some of the partners and customers we've been working with can bring their own documentation into the to be tokenized and put into the vector database for participating in that interactive conversation. There's examples in there about how to create data functions or use the user docs to mine for context. We'll send around these links to folks who are interested, but here's the community site where you can download, provided you have these versions of Spotfire 12.5 or 14, you can download and install the Copilot. So a quick video on this. So here is a set here. You see this pop up on the right hand side, which is the chat interface for the Copilot. So I'm asking here, what is my best selling product category? It comes back with an answer, but it also comes back with a thumbnail. And you can click that into your analysis. Next question I'm asking is, show me sales over time by product category. Here you see another thumbnail coming back with a scatter plot. I can click that into the Spotfire dashboard or application. And so basically, from a conversational interface, you can build, basic type Spotfire analyses. So getting a jump start on Spotfire without having to read the documentation is one of the use cases here. Now, that may look simple of creating a bar chart and a scatter plot over time, but let's just unpack that a little bit and see what is going on under the hood here. So when you ask that question, well, firstly, what we've put into the Copilot is all of the Spotfire documentation, the community sites, all of our Dr. Spotfire YouTube videos, various books, and we've engineered the prompts to allow you to ask and answer questions and avoid hallucinations. There's a volume parameter that we can turn up all the way to the Spotfire documentation to avoid hallucinations. And this multimodal thing, as I mentioned, is a kind of a big deal. So that dashboard I just created. So the question that I asked the Spotfire Copilot, show me sales over time by product category. So what has to go on behind the scenes for the Copilot to produce that recommended visual? Firstly, it looks at those words and says, sales over time. Okay, so it found a column in the data set called sales total, which is, the sales word. And so it's going to put that on the y-axis. For over time, there was no column called time or anything like that. It did have a column called ordered data. And so it's not a fuzzy match that it's doing, it's a concept match. So the word ordered data is embedded in the space of the large language model close by the word time. And so it's basically concept matching based on the embeddings of the large language model to interpret the sentence in the question and translate that into the data set that is available in Spotfire. So it uses that ordered data column on the x-axis and then it bins it by year, month, and quarter. And then it chooses the line plot, and then it chooses the aggregation on the sales total to match the categories of the ordered data, and it colors by the third categorical variable, by product category. It chooses that for the coloring. Now, these are things that are all, fairly straightforward if you know how to use Spotfire to do that manually. But the fact that the Copilot is able to take these 7 words, show me sales over time by product category, or it's 8 words, and do all of that and come back with that thumbnail is kind of cool. And so we've been trying this out for a while on these various use cases, and we've now put that out into a set of components on our community site. The components have this orchestrator as part of the components, runs inside of a container. And like I say, it's already tokenized all of our documentation, the Spotfire documentation, and put that into a vector database so that when you're inside a Spotfire, you're basically asking these questions like I just showed, and the LLM that we've allow you to use, and there's choices in that, by the way. It looks into these different templates and says, okay, what kind of question are you asking? Are you asking me about interpreting context, or are you asking me about getting Spotfire help or generating a visualization? So the user question gets classified into those buckets there, and then a prompt is built that uses these templates to address the question, and then the answer comes back from that into Spotfire. So under the hood, there's a bunch of chaining and optimization that's going on. There's a couple of trips back and forth from the conversational UI into the large language model, and this is what's going on under the hood. And this orchestrator is what we've open sourced into the Spotfire community. And so we've been working with a number of the different models as part of this, particularly Llama 2 that I mentioned and GPT-4. You see this explosion in the evolutionary tree of large language models that we've been working with. In fact, we've been working with BERT for quite a while in our NLP package for things like NLQ. But if you look at the way this world of large language models has evolved from all the way back to word to vec into various work done by Google and Facebook and Microsoft to speech recognition. I mentioned BERT as being a significant model that we started using, included in our NLP package on our community site for fuzzy matching. And then the GPT and Llama 2 that we've been working with. Notice here, as I mentioned from Dr. Niam's work, that Llama 2 has got 70 billion parameters versus GPT-3 175 billion. So quite a fewer number of parameters, but more tokens and more training time to give a more detailed space of embeddings that you can use to to concept match your input to the conversation. So we allow you to set up the Copilot as a set of containers. The recipes and so on are on the community site, and allow you to this orchestrator to coordinate the flow. And the front end we offer as a SPK with a sample DXP that includes the lang chain and so on. And we use this RAG approach that's become quite popular, and allows you to basically deploy the orchestrator and set it up in your environment, and use our documents. We've got the Milvus vector database in there. We use the LangChain quite a bit, and that's what's underneath the hood. We've been working a lot with the Azure environment. They offer the OpenAI as a service, and we've been doing quite a bit of work there. Amazon's been playing catch up with Bedrock and so on, and we've recently been working with GCP as well. Okay, so that's probably the hottest trend right now, and I want to update you on. In terms of the other work that Nicholas referred to, so our visual analytics program is really super exciting. Nicholas mentioned mods and showed you how the graphs can just land right in the flyout on the left-hand side as you download one of these visualization types from our community site or build your own Spotfire mod. And we've recently just put a new page up on our new website about understanding Spotfire mods. There's a nice video of our data science team's presentation from the analytics forum on understanding mods, and there's a number of examples, and we I think did a nice job of breaking it out and showing you little bits about. We sort of decomposed the presentation from the analytics forum into bite-sized chunks with Andrew Berridge and Jose Leviagueri, who leading our mods field effort, and basically made it easy for you to understand and consume mods on our new Spotfire website. Now, some of these mods are, I think really multi-purpose. I tried to pick some that were related to life sciences. So this is our network mod, and this is data that we were working a little bit with the Drug Enforcement Agency in the United States, and this shows the chain from when the doctor writes the prescription for an opioid, what pharmacy fills it, what is the supplier that fills it, where's the company who put it out there, where did it land? So there's been a whole this whole opioid crisis, and it's interesting to see how government organizations like DEA and pharmaceutical organizations trace and track and trace the chain of reaction through that network from product to supplier to patient. We recently launched this violin mod, which we are very excited about. It has applications across manufacturing, but also throughout the healthcare industry. In particular, patient outcomes and healthcare research uses this type of display to understand the effects of different drugs in different settings. So it's like a box plot, except it's a multimodal. It doesn't just stick everything into an interquartile range. It looks at the shape of the distribution on the y-axis versus whether it's time on the x-axis or some other categorical variable on the x-axis. It allows you to do automatically a one-way ANOVA test, and these little circles here are comparison circles that show you the differences between the distributions as based on a Kolmogorov-Smirnov statistic. It allows you various controls of the color and the appearance. But yes, this whole outcomes, healthcare research outcomes in the world is a big one for it, along with drug safety, efficacy, and manufacturing type use cases. So that's a fairly recent release, and in fact, yes, we've got a new page up on our community site. Looks like just released last week or so, that shows the use cases, how to get it, how to try it out. For each of the mods that we put on our community site, there's an individual GitHub repo that allows you to download and put it into your library and send it out. I noticed that we just put out on our Spotfire LinkedIn channel, we just put out a nice post that describes it and should give you some use cases around it and tying back to our community site. So that's a fairly big release of this plot that we did preview it at the analytics forum, and now it's out on the site. Another thing that we included in our analytics forum, which I quite like, is this ridgeline plot, affectionately sometimes known as the Joy plot, based on the Joy Division album Unknown Pleasures. You might have seen the sound waves, or I see the waves from this distant planet that created that. But the idea here is that you've got some kind of a variable on the x-axis that's continuous and some kind of categorical variable on the y-axis, and you want to compare distributions across the range. So this is data, I guess, from the Vega website, where we use some of that to help develop this mod, and looking at different beverages and their sales over geography. As I mentioned, it kind of looks like the cover of Unknown Pleasures. Some people might know that Joy Division band from back in the 80s and how that invokes that. So I often call it the Joy plot. I just wanted to mention the styling that we did. I noticed that I just got my vaccine, COVID vaccine booster, and there's a bit of a wave happening with this JN1 variant in the US that's coming across from Europe. If folks are interested in this, we did quite a lot of analyses on COVID data. It shows off the ability for Spotfire to lay out as a newspaper style instead of a tabbed style. If folks are interested in that, let me know. We still have some really good learnings from all of that, and it's becoming a hot topic again just recently. In terms of the data science and data engineering area, Nicholas showed a little bit of this. I mentioned that the Spotfire has been using large language models for some time, and this NLP toolkit, which we just released version 2 of in the open source, allows you to pre-process text, extract the features, the n-grams, bigrams, trigrams, do the stemming, remove the stop words, do the named entity recognition. So you have certain names in the text that you want to recognize automatically, tagging for sentiment and part of speech, and as I mentioned, having some of the BERT and SQL over pieces inside of that. And so, here's a very quick, video showing how that works. And so you can see here that this is where the visuals and data science mods sort of land in the interface, in the flyout. The data functions are automatically generated from Python and R code as this user interface. You just map those to your data that's inside Spotfire, and the sentiment, part of speech tagging happens automatically. The word cloud, that's a Spotfire mod that's generated to show the text, the keywords, or the sentiment inside of the reviews, which is a text card mod at the bottom, all linkable into the geo-analytics. These are Airbnb reviews from the Boston area. And then all the steps that you've done in the data function, data preparation, the sentiment results, this is all mapped in the data canvas. Nicholas was pointing out how we're looking at making that more editable, but even clicking down into the Python code allows this type of analysis to get shared for different use cases among your team. So we're particularly excited about how the direction that we're heading with our data science and data function work. And we've been doing this for a while on other data, not just text data, but video and image data. This is an analysis that the camera, looking at the Sydney Harbour Bridge with traffic patterns going by. We're putting bounding boxes around them. We're calculating speed, so that, it's not just text that we do, these advanced problems for images and videos as well. So the data functions that we have on our community site include a lot of that kind of stuff, predictive models, but one specialty we have is geospatial analyses. These are typically written in R, the other ones are written in Python. Now you can write data functions yourself and still get those benefits I showed, like automatic UI generation and all of that, but these are 60 or so that we have on our community site that you can download, put in your library, and they automatically show up in your flyout to do the analyses, data science analysis. Now, we have been putting some of these out in the open source. So the Python data function, Python code underneath those, we just open sourced into the Spotfire DSML package. We published that out to PyPy in association with the Analytics Forum. There's 182 Python functions inside of that. There's an explainability module, a drift monitoring module, data science module for time series and NLP. And we put all the regression class, all this stuff is now out there in Python code, but we also released it on our community site as a set of data functions that you can bring into your flyout and your library and distribute across your organization. So the different modules that I just mentioned are packaged up as Python packages with in the format ready for Spotfire to land right there in that flyout. So if folks have got interesting applications for time series, NLP, explainability, this is not just in life sciences. We've got a lot of applications in our other sectors, manufacturing, for example, and some of the new NLP explainability features do a little bit more detail around analysis of log files. We've got it connected to Pi, OSI Pi, if folks use that allow you to bring in data and analyze time series out of OSI Pi. And so one quick video here to show you how the data functions work is, this is wind pattern data from turbines in Texas. And you can see I'm looking at wind speed distribution there. I can see the weather station monitorings in the green triangles here. I can click into my data function flyout and say I want to do a contour plot. So automatically generates and surfaces this user interface for doing the contour plot. And basically you just pick the columns in your data set and map them to the columns that does the analysis on for the contour plot. So you choose the data table, you choose the column, you choose any filtering, you provide the basics of the contour plot analysis. It recommended something there, you skip that, and basically returns a set of geometries, and I just drag those geometries onto the map, and you see there I get my contour analysis. I've got some I've set up some buttons to look at different slices of the contour analysis by different categorical variables. And now that I have the contour map in there from the data function, I might want to add a mod, a visual mod. In this case, a rose chart allows you to look at the wind patterns as a function of 360-degree view. And so I can see where's the prevailing wind, what direction is that coming from. And you can see I just point and click that visual mod, the rose chart, into the analysis. So this is an example where I've got a nice data function calculating the contours and a nice visual mod showing directionality of the wind. So that's a brief update of what we've been doing on the data function side. And then in Spotfire apps, this is where we create these applications that bring together all the different pieces for certain use cases. And we put that up there for you to download. They're also linked in our interactive live demo gallery. So you can see there's a hospital readmission case in here. We've got a few other statistical process control. If folks are interested in collaborating with us around these, it's a very active program. We're continuing to add applications to this and hosting them on our demo gallery. This is an example of one of those apps. So this is listening to sound waves coming off manufacturing equipment. This app converts the sound waves into images and does unsupervised learning to find outliers. And once the image outliers is found, then we can basically take an action. So Nicholas mentioned about Spotfire actions. So this is invoking Spotfire actions on top of a visual anomaly detection application, and basically saying, okay, let me wire up an action to send an email to this person that we just found this anomalous sound coming off this piece of equipment, and they should go take a look and see what's happening with that equipment. And so we basically built a little workflow that we call from that anomaly to basically write out the email and send it to somebody as a notification. Nicholas mentioned we've wired up 200 different services, integration services to allow that action to occur, and we've got some advances coming in that area. So just if you want to catch up on a lot of this stuff, I know it's a bit of a quick whistle-stop tour. The Dr. Spotfire is the place to go. We've got a live session first Monday of every month. This week we actually did a Spotfire 14 overview from Arnaud Lorin, product manager on Nicholas's team, walking you through that. But you can see there's a bunch of those that we track on our, that was the one from this week, what's new in Spotfire 14. You can see a number of things that we cover. We're open to topics. If you guys want us to cover a certain topic, it's usually some kind of property or some kind of something that's fairly new and fresh in Spotfire that we want to show people how to use it. There's also a bunch of training and enablement videos that we work with customers to create their own centers of excellence and feed those into their environment. Then we also have a weekly quick tip video, which is usually a shorter thing. So recently we've shown you how to do drop-down, cascading drop-downs, transferring marked data to document properties, things like that. These are weekly tips that you can stay in touch with us on. So that's what I had to cover today. I think there was a number of things that I referred to. I'll make the slides available, but a lot of this stuff is on either our website or our community site. So, I showed things like our violin plot today from our community site. I showed you, how to understand Spotfire mods, and this session that we had, from the analytics forum. It's a nice recording here. I showed you the Copilot on the Exchange. Here's an example I just found from the research about using violin plots for health indicators. So some folks in Italy wrote this paper. I just found it on ResearchGate. This is the DSML toolkit I mentioned that we published out for Python. As part of the time series module, there's a Pi data connectors, and how to wire up Spotfire to bring in the Pi data to do the time series analysis on. I guess there's this. So I mean, Spotfire.com is the place to go to check this out. And then inside of that, inside of Spotfire.com, this is where you can go, say, to the demo gallery where the Spotfire apps are that I just showed you. So if you want to click around on some of these, you can bring up the app and look at it live if you want. You got so there's a lot of that kind of stuff up there, and product overviews, the different pieces there that Nicholas was going through today. And then now you've got that application that comes up live from our demo gallery, and you can start playing around with that. So yeah, that's I guess that's kind of what I wanted to show today. So Nicholas, you got any comments on anything that?
Nothing particular to add, Michael. Thanks for that great overview of all the things that the data science team have done and all the mods that has been created. It's always refreshing to see. Maybe I can comment here that the ID portal is for Spotfire is accessible directly from the Get Involved tab here on the web page that you're showing. So you see it in the lower right there, submit your ID. Oh, up a bit there.
Oh, here, okay.
Yeah,
okay, perfect, yeah. No, terrific, yeah, there you go. So that's, you had some screenshots from the website in that regard, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so it's a work in progress. We're, this is pretty new. We've only had this website for a couple of months. We're going to, some of these other things I showed are from our community site. We're still on the TIBCO community site where we've got a project over the next 6 months to bring all of our community work from TIBCO across to a combination of our website and our new Spotfire community site. And these are the use cases we're kind of focusing on and the industries we're focusing on. So yeah, it's really a lot of fun. We're feels like we're back in a Spotfire startup at the moment, and we're really enthusiastic to talk to all of our customers and see what we can do to help you with your Spotfire journey. So I guess turning it back to the host of the meeting.
Yes, very, very nice, Michael. Thank you for excellent presentation, both of you, Michael and Nicholas. I think we have a couple of questions and our time for a couple of questions. I think one of them you just addressed there at the end, Michael, with one of the questions was about porting the community over from TIBCO to Spotfire. So I think you addressed that one already. Another question I think is about the Spotfire Copilot. You mentioned that that's available on the Spotfire site. Is there a specific version of Spotfire that people need to use to try that out?
Yeah, so you have to be on the pretty recent version. Spotfire 12.5 will work, or the new Spotfire 14. Those are the two versions you can be on to use that.
Perfect. 12.5 or 14. Okay. And then Nicholas, I think there was a question that came in regarding your presentation. So I think in part, so you were mentioning about Spotfire transitioning to a web user interface. Does that mean that the installed Spotfire application is going away?
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. So we actually use web user interfaces also in the installed client. And we think of it that it's just the user's choice in the end, whether to use the web browser client or use the installed application, whatever suits him or her the best. So it's definitely the installed application will continue to exist, but the user interfaces will be modernized and look the same as in the web client.
And Nicholas, it also gives us the ability to refresh the user interfaces from as the features are being added a little bit easier, right?
Absolutely. So the new design that we have for the web user interfaces is more scalable, so it's easier to add features to it and so on.
Right.
Sounds like there's a lot of flexibility there for people. Another question, I guess, going back to your presentation, Nicholas, was when you were talking about like the library favorites. I think there were like a couple of questions. So one of them was, can they be organized into categories? And then I think the other one is how many users can favorite an item? Can I sort the library browser view on how many people favorite an item?
Interesting. I'll start with the second one there.
Yeah, sorry.
So there is a view of how many people that have favorited an item, and the favorites are of course personal. So if you favorite something, that doesn't change anything for me. But in the library browser view, you can see how many people did actually favorite a certain library item. And it's even possible actually to sort the view in the library browser on the number of favorite people that have favorited the item in question. And the first part of the question that was if it's possible to categorize the library favorites. No, not exactly. That's an interesting topic though, so something we may be looking into in various future projects that we do. So that's something that please engage with us related to the ID portal related to categorization of favorites and so on.
Okay, very good. Another question, and this one might be a little technical and maybe it requires a follow-up, but someone asked, we want to connect a Spotfire to, I think it's Pi or PI data system. Is there a manual book we can check or some type of reference, I suppose?
I briefly showed that. There's that community page that I think I showed it. Let me see. Can I reshare my screen here?
Yes, Pamela, can you switch back over to Michael?
So yeah, I think I showed this page, right? So
yes.
Yeah, so this is the Pi data connections that we've had. We've been doing this for a long time, right? So we've got pretty detailed options here. You can connect to the Pi data archive. You can connect to the Pi asset framework, and basically this inside of this other area, you can bring up the connect to the tag data. It gives you, so this community site I think tells you everything you need to know. about how to connect to different parts of the Pi system. And then we've got a Dr. Spotfire session on it as well. So if you want to take grab a screenshot of this or this link here or something, and if you can't get anything there, just drop us a note and tell us what you're looking for. I think we also do event frames. So it's basically the Pi database, the asset framework, the event frames, and there's some new metadata layer for Pi that's being launched, and we're a technical partner with Aviva, and so we're implementing that new connector as well.
Okay, that sounds very useful. So a follow-up question regarding, I know you talked, Michael, about some events and conferences on the Spotfire site. So a person's asking, is there any conference event on Spotfire we want to attend?
Yes, so we did show the analytics forum, right? I showed that in
Yes, that's right, yes.
So those sessions are available right now. And if there's particular, this was the analytics forum. Mm-hmm. So that happened a couple months ago, and we have all the recordings of those sessions that we're in transition because we had them in this conference website for a while, and that just ran out at the end of November. So it just ran out a week or so ago, and we're in process of moving those over to YouTube and putting them on our website. Now, I think I showed how we're doing that, and the first one we moved over was the understanding mods, and so this was an analytics forum presentation that we kind of hosted up here. So this is the analytics forum breakout session on mods. Mm-hmm. But the folks on the web team did a really nice job here, I think, because they put it over here, and but then they broke it up into these little sections. And so it's like, what are mods? So there's a little 2-minute video that came out of this video. They kind of broke it up, and here's an example of grab and go mods that we've got on our community site. It's 37-second video, so you can kind of run these videos and they pop up, and it's coming from our YouTube channel, but it's landing on our website.
And I just want to highlight something about the grab and go.
So yes, these are nice little snippets that we, I think the web team did a really nice job on that. But we're going to continue to do that with our other mods, with our other analytics forum presentations. So I think in the slides, for example, I put there, Dr. Niam's one, and this is a link to our YouTube recording of this one. And so when you click on that, you jump over. Wow, looks like we're still work in progress here. Sorry about that. So yeah, we're ultimately going to have things up here like this. We're going to have our analytics forum content, nicely presented. But we just transitioned the end of November to from that, from this website that we had for the conference, this one, and we're in process of putting it onto our regular website and community site. And these sessions are, I guess they're coming over in order of the web team's available bandwidth.
Okay, very good. I think we're running over a little bit. So I guess there's one other question about like the co-pilot, and it says, who do we reach out to for co-pilot questions? And
you can
get going.
I think you can email askdatascience@tibco.com.
Okay.
Unless, Nicholas, do you have any other suggestions where they can?
No, I think that's the best. Or I would suggest that too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Perfect. I think we have a lot of good questions coming in, but we need to wrap up because I think we're going over just a little bit. So okay. Pamela, can you switch back over to my screen? Thank you. Okay, so just to wrap up, so thank you again, Michael and Nicholas, for a very wonderful presentation. It looks like a very vibrant set of questions coming in, so you've really resonated with the Spotfire community. So I just want to make a few announcements before we close. So first, mark your calendars for the next Signals Research Suite Quarterly Connect session on Wednesday, February 7th. These dates may change just a little bit, but just want to give you an idea of kind of what we're planning. And by popular request, we're kind of transitioning the series from a Spotfire Quarterly Connect to a Signals Research Suite Quarterly Connect. The other thing I wanted to mention was that if you're interested in any type of training, you can reach out to Stephanie Fellows at Revity.com on the email address there that you see, and she can connect you with some Spotfire training. She also can connect you with like Signals family training. And then I also wanted to say a lot of throughout the year, just want to thank everybody for reaching out and providing topic suggestions for me. And a lot of those were included in the webinars that we hosted this year. And if you have any more ideas for the coming year, there's my email address, so feel free to reach out to me. And just finally, I just want to thank Nicholas and Michael again for providing such an insightful and useful presentation on the latest and greatest with Spotfire 14. And we'll share out the recordings in the next couple of days, so watch your inboxes for it. This concludes our session for today, and have a great day.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michael.
Chris.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.